Welcome back, dear viewers. You're still watching Nile Cruise on Nile TV International and from the Egyptian Museum in Tahrir, which is organizing a very special event, a summer educational program for children that turns the museum's priceless artifacts into a part of the school curriculum. Groups of 5 to 10 children from primary and middle school will be able to explore and learn more about Egypt's ancient history in the archaeological fashion, of course. The program is currently ongoing and will take place on Sunday of every week until the beginning of the school year on October the 9th. The Egyptian Museum of Antiquities is an impressive, of course, arts building which is dating in the turn of the 20th century. And to know more about, of course, the curriculum and the educational program and how it took place, we have with us in this segment Mr. Hossam Mohamed, who is a curator at the museum. And a very good day, sir, and it's a pleasure to have you with us.
Hello, it's nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. It's with you, Hossam Mohamed, the curator from Egyptian Museum. And you're welcome to Egyptian Museum.
Tell us more about the curriculum and how you got the idea to make such a wonderful initiative from my own perspective.
Okay, I'm here to talk a little bit about the museum education, how it started, like the history of Egyptian museums. Actually, it started directly after the history of Egyptian museum. Museum education started from 1955, when the museum started to organize groups to visit the museum here to reflect all the antiquities and the objects here in the museum that already has oriented for educational topics that already particularly goes part of academic learning orientations. Okay. And then we have many groups, we have many categories for museum education. So we have culture, we have workshops, we have activities that already make the students share effectively with all the activity in the museum here. Like we have held here a workshop for architecture, writing, army, and everything related to the history of Egyptian museum antiquities.
Wonderful. What makes the museum different from other museums?
Actually, the Egyptian Museum here is different and unique in everything, starting from the building of this building that already building in 1902. The design was designed by the French architect Marcel Drenon in 1898. And then the museum is already inaugurated 160,000 of masterpieces, which already cover and reflect all the ancient Egyptian life and aspects that back to us to the past, which already very wonderful in everything.
When and why was the Egyptian Museum established?
Okay, in 1902, when already proposal is already cover from French teamwork. Actually, Marcel Deneau had already won this proposal. That's already in 1998. Okay, and then the museum has already finished and opened from the first time to be a museum. Okay, that was in 1902. And from this time, the museum already covered all the ancient Egyptian antiquities, starting from pre-dynastic and prehistory till the Greek-Roman time.
Okay, when and why were the programs, of course, the school programs launched, and how can children participate in this program to let all the children know how to participate? And we mentioned that it is on Sunday of every week.
Okay. The Egyptian Museum here has organized many workshops and activities that make the student share with these workshops. We have two most important topics. We have academic learning topics and we have culture topics. In the culture topic, the student can share with can effectively share with the workshop which share with all the collection in the museum, like we have a collection for the art, collection for the writing, or even some models can the student share with this. Like we have a very important workshop for the mummification and embalming that make the student enable to share with the embalming for the mummification of the mummies, starting from the anatomy of the body itself, and then they learn more about the embalming and the botanic and the material which already used while the mummification process, and that's make the student very have very good passion for towards the museum and towards all the activity in the museums.
Okay, how do you see, sir, of course, the feedback of the children participating in the program?
Yeah, started from the organizing all the programs here that make the student very have very ambitions to share or to join these programs, and this already upgrade his skills for sharing all these activities. You know, we know have many workshops and many activities that already the student share that make it improve his skills for belonging to the country and to know more about the ethnological and the culture of ancient Egyptians. And then we have also summer programs for improving the skills of language for English and French language. But this is already spot on some technical and some educational skills for learning the language itself.
What are the tips that parents that you do here at the museum for the parents to enjoy the moments at the museum that they spend with their kids and the activities that the parents can do?
We have very specifically program for the adult themselves that already can share with their children also, that make the parents can encourage their children to join all the programs, especially it's already held in summer and 2 days per week, like Saturday and Wednesday. We can share all the museum, and we have very good tours that organized by the volunteers in the museum here to reflect or to attract the parents to come here to the museum with their families to visit the museum to know more about the antiquities and the collection here in the museum. And sure, other reverse actions can they encourage their children to join. Especially we have category, or we have many different program for many age or different age, like from 5 to 10, like from 13 to 19, and then all the age for the student in the schools.
Okay, sir. What is the suitable age for these activities, and are the activities varying according to the children's ages?
Okay, that's really depending on the category which are going to evolve. Like we have the summer workshops, we have adult, we have culture workshops. That it depends if we have organized workshop or activity for small children for learning, for example, learning language or learning workshop, simple workshop, that the age was suitable for 5 to 10. Okay, and we have more workshops that specifically concentrate or some technical and artistic art they already can share with models, artistic model from here, that's suitable for 13 till 19.
Sir, what can the children learn from museums when, of course, they come to the museum and see it practically, other than at school when they learn it through a book or a laptop?
Yes, it's a good question. Actually, actually the aims of all the programs that evolved in museum education that already focus on how that the aim or the outstanding of this program can affect on the academic and the learning topics that already will be part of the course, the educational course in the museum, in the schools, because we make the student will the student or people's share or interact with the collection here in the museum, which already make them more know more about the topic, about the history, about the ancient history, depending sure on the workshop was already the student were involved with it.
Okay, how should the parents make the most of their children's trip to the museum?
by themselves. First they have to encourage to come to the museum to know about the history, about all the collection in the museum here in the ancient museum, and to know about the culture, the ancient culture. That's already very attract for the parents themselves, and then they can move this feeling to their children by encourage them to come to the museum here, and actually to encourage them to share effectively with this workshop, with the program of the museum educations, and time by time the children, the children will encourage to come here, and it will be part of their culture.
Okay, sir. Do you think that these activities, the activities that you do, they raise children's passion to learn more about the tourism and antiquities in Egypt?
Yes, that's among of the aims and the museum education programs, that to learn to learn to learn the children that already learn respect in everything in their life, starting from their private life, even their visits, their tours in all the sightseeing places. Sure, the museum here, they know about respect, more about respect, how they respect the visitor, how they respect the culture of visiting the sightseeing places, especially the museum, because the museum here is closed place, and we have collection, we have tourists from all over the world, and then they have to respect and have to deal that time by time they come by their culture, a part of their culture.
Okay, how far will these programs raise children to be able to promote the country's destination?
Okay, actually now museum education, I'm sure the museum here organizing to cooperation with the Ministry of Education, that all the courses, all the educational courses will be part of their learning course, and then actually in the next years, this course, the learning course, will be a part, very basic part of their practical visit to the sightseeing places, and sure they know about the histories, know about not even the part was already specifically to the learning academic course, but even for the culture of them.
Think that these activities that the children you're teaching here in the museum, the activities can revitalize the internal tourism movement?
Sure, it's very vital to the children and even the parents, because as more we evolve this, the children with all the museum program and with the museum education activities, as more they know and they already understand everything which relate to the ethnological and archaeological and which related to the ancient Egyptian history. And time by time, they also will be encourage them to love or to like this activity or programs that it's already evolved with their life aspects.
The Ministry of Education seeks to include knowledge and, of course, awareness materials within the educational curriculum of the basic education level. How do you view this, of course, move, and in your perspective, sir, how will this move affect the children's activities in the museum?
Yeah, this part was already mentioned before in our last questions. All the collection and all the studying of the Egyptian antiquities here, the Egyptian collection in the museum here, and all over Egypt, by the way, will be part of the academic course in the schools, and this with cooperation with the Ministry of Education, and then sure it will be part of their education. Okay, and that's very important part of their education course.
Okay, how far will this move affect the behavior of the coming generation towards tourists?
Yes, like we mentioned, that's already respect to learn respect, how dealing with the visitors, how dealing with the object itself, with the collection itself. You know, the culture. It's we need to encourage the culture of Egyptians, especially that already encourage them to come to the museum, to sightseeing, to visit their countries. That already this part is very is not available for all the Egyptian families, and by this part, time by time, they already go to come to the museums, to come to certain places to visit and to know more about the history of this. Especially the children will be part of this tour.
Okay, it's worth to mention, sir, that of course some series were filmed or shooted at the museum. How do you view this, and how far would shooting films or series at museums promote classical tourism?
Actually, the ancient Egyptian was very impressive for all journalists, all media all over the world, and that's already reflect on how can we already film it or shooting for some documentary movies for to know more about the ambitions and about the impressions about everything which is related to. The antiquities here, this is already part of also the media channels that already come here and want to share some movies, some documentary movies about history, ancient history.
Okay, how far would hosting iconic figures promote the security and safety of the image of Egypt?
That this part is already in undertake the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities. That's related to the regulations and the policies which already followed by the museum. Okay, sure, representing by the administration of the place itself. Okay, and then as we have very good rules, that can be obtained. Then in this time we can follow all of these rules as more we have a good culture for the people themselves.
What are the precautionary measures that you take against the COVID-19, of course, for everyone that's visiting the museum, or to keep the people that work at the museum safe?
Sure, starting from March 2020, after the epidemic of coronavirus started, we have a very strong regulation for all the sightseeing places, including here the museum here. We have very regulation for keeping the distance, for protecting the distance. We have the mask, we have everything related to these regulations. As already after the epidemic, and now we already go on with these regulations. Till this epidemic has already over.
Sir, thank you very, very much for your informative knowledge, and for, of course, giving us more highlight about the importance of the children's activities and curriculum here in the museum. Thank you very much for joining us in Nile Cruise.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk. I know it's a very good, very simple interview, but inshallah next we have managed a very good interview with very good time.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, thank you.